don't want our children just to be inspired by our past. I want them to be hopeful for their future.
Governor Josh Shapiro laying out a vision of hope and a budget proposal worth more than $48 billion for 2024. The sun shining on the Capitol as the governor made calls for increasing spending initiatives that he says will help Pennsylvanians, calling for an increase in the minimum wage and putting more resources into a number of programs. Thank you for joining us at 6. I'm Jasmine Brooks. Tonight, we're breaking down what you need to know about the governor's proposal and what it could mean for your community and your wallet. CBS 21's Joel D. Smith live at the Capitol. He was there for the address and anchors our coverage.
That is right, Jasmine. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, all of you voters and taxpayers out there. Let's break down some of the things that he was talking about behind me just a bit ago. It kind of comes down to what do you want and can you pay for it? We might need a meteorologist to figure out the future on this one. A lot of it comes down to the rainy day fund. The Republicans think there are gloomy skies ahead, so protect the money in there. As for the governor, he sees a brighter forecast.
Now is the time to invest some of that $14 billion surplus squirreled away here in Harrisburg. Hear me on this. It is not a badge of honor, nor is it something to be politically proud of for some lawmakers out there to say, I took more money from the good people of Pennsylvania than I needed, and then I bragged about how I just kept it in some bank account here in the Capitol.
The governor wants to increase state funding in public transportation to the tune of $282 million, another $100 million investment to try to reduce gun violence. The biggest number by far, a historic $1.1 billion increase in basic education funding. The governor says if his entire budget is approved, there would still be $11 billion left over in the rainy day fund. Republicans see a much more cloudy outlook, a budget shortfall.
And we look at three things that are 3 years out. In that third year, that's $10 billion that we're faced with. So what you just heard is a governor who wants us to basically spend down everything. And based on what he wants to spend, there's not even enough money in this rainy day fund to keep up with the level of spending that he wants to take us.
What they do agree on is we need to compete better with our neighboring states. So the governor wants $600 million in a new and expanded investment package for a 10-year economic investment strategy.
Ohio has 1.5 million fewer people than Pennsylvania, yet they invested over 7 times more in economic development than we have. And I am sick and tired of losing to friggin' Ohio.
Well, that's what he said. He got a lot of applause off of that one. Obviously, competition. We like to go against the states and beat them. We'll see what can happen there. What else is in this budget? Well, let's dig in a little bit. When we're talking about public safety, some details I want to run over with you. Some of those numbers, it's certainly a priority. It includes spending more this year on state police, an additional $48 million, including $16 million for 4 new cadet classes and $1.5 million to put troopers in units that directly investigate gun violence. So that's on top of putting more money into violence intervention and prevention programs as well. But he also says gun laws, they need to change.
Why the hell are we okay with loopholes on background checks that allow criminals to get their hands on guns? Just close the loopholes. You like to talk a big game about law and order. So let's strengthen our laws and bring about more order in Pennsylvania.
The governor also proposing spending more money to help crime victims, making a $5 million transfer to the Crime Victims Compensation Fund, which helps victims and their families through the aftermath of a shooting. None of this applies to you yet. Well, let's get to some of those bread and butter items that really will affect your pocketbook as well. Digging into the numbers there, it includes raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. The estimates there are it would increase pay for about 20% of Pennsylvanians. He also proposed raising the minimum SNAP benefits from $23 a month to $35. The governor says he wants to reduce medical debt, putting aside $4 million in relief for low-income residents. The governor made a plea for lawmakers also to legalize recreational marijuana.
And our failure to legalize and regulate this only fuels the black market and drains much-needed resources for law enforcement. It's time to catch up.
So the governor's office projects legalizing marijuana would bring in nearly $15 million in revenue in the first half of 2025, and they want to get that going by next January. A lot to digest. I can't do it on my own. That's why we have our CBS 21 political insiders. We have Democratic insider, former lieutenant governor, very busy on days like this, Mark Singal, and fresh in from overseas, we have Charlie Giroux. It's a big day, so we have our guys here right now. Let's start with that medical marijuana. We did talk to the Republicans afterwards. There's some wiggle room in that room for the senators, and they're just going to get to the details, but overall, how likely is that to happen?
I think it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And as you look through this budget, Joel D., there's one thing that's so clear, and that is that the only thing that Josh Shapiro likes to do more than spend other people's money is listen to his own voice. 90 minutes worth of this stuff today, all about spending more and more and more, which the people of Pennsylvania simply can't afford.
Right. The question is how much is really in there, and that's where the Republicans and Democrats have a difference of opinion. What is a fact is this is 7% more than last year. When you're going above and beyond what you already had last year, and you're talking about marijuana, let's start with that piece of this. How likely do you see that on the horizon?
Charlie's probably right. I've always been cautious about recreational marijuana, medical marijuana, yes, but I'm not sure we're done with that experiment yet. So I'm not sure we're going to get it done in time for a big source of revenue for Pennsylvania, but we'll see.
Is the pressure because of the other states and everything else around us?
That's exactly it. It's kind of foolish not to take advantage of the source of revenue if every other state around you is doing it. So we're getting kind of pressured into it.
Sounds like peer pressure, which is not a good thing when it comes to drug use. But either way, I see what you're saying when it comes to the numbers. Hey, the numbers are the problem here. We need a meteorologist to tell us what's the future really going to be. Is it bright? Is it gloomy? $14 billion goes down to $11 billion if Shapiro gets everything he wants. That's the number he's working off of, which would make you think he's going to get it.
Yeah, Charlie's right. There's a 7% increase in spending, but we can afford it. The fact of the matter is, you do not want to blow the opportunity to make strategic investments. And every item in the governor's proposal has a return on investment that's valuable for Pennsylvania. If you do all of the spending he's talking about, you're still going to have $11 billion at the end of the day after this fiscal year.
Well, that's what the governor said. Apparently not everybody believes it, though.
No, nobody does believe that. And look, for really wealthy Democrats like my friend Mark over here, maybe they can afford it. But for working guys like myself who are Republicans, a little bit tough. No, I mean, who's got a 7% increase this year? Maybe you did, Joel D. I didn't, and most Pennsylvanians didn't. We simply cannot afford this. And dipping into the rainy day fund, the problem there is it's one-time spending. And then what will happen is the people of Pennsylvania will be accustomed to that spending, and when that rainy day fund money is no longer there, they're going to say, oh, you cut spending, you did this draconian stuff. When in point of fact, every budget analyst knew what was happening.
Well, the one thing they agree on, probably another budget process that will take a while and probably won't be, snap your fingers and done. One thing we want to get into is we asked you folks out there what's most important to you and where should we really put the increase in the money? Let's bring it up on the screen real quick. That biggest funding increase, where should it go? Education, public safety, economic development, or infrastructure? The current results right now, education at 56%, 33% for economic development, 11% for public safety. I'm 100% happy to be sharing the stage with you guys. We got through it today. A long speech, but an important one to see what our future looks like. For now, from the Capitol, we'll send it back to you.